How's it going, people? Hope everyone's well and had a good weekend. First and foremost, big shout out to Jason from Foxwood Knives. If you haven't seen the vids already, then go over and sub him. He had an issue with his account and all his subs. I think he had 500 plus subs and they all got deleted, which is a shocker really. My heart goes out to him. So if you could go over there, I'll put the link to his page, his channel in the box below. So if you go over there and show him your support and sub him if you haven't already seen a vid and done it already, that'd be great, and I appreciate it, and I'm sure Jason would as well. Alright, on to the Raider. I have finished the first one, being kind of prototype-ish, but I'm happy with it. There's nothing I'm going to change from this one to the next. I'm really happy with it. It's come out great. I've done a little bit of cutting and testing with it, so the mirror polish it was mint, and there's minute little scratches down near the cutting edge, but it is still pretty much banging. It's a cracker of a mirror polish. I'm really happy with it. So there's the whole slush puppy cup situation going on. You've got the camera inside the blade, with the camera inside the blade, with the camera inside the blade. I love that kind of thing. That's right up my street. It has had a couple of coats of frog lube, so it's a tiny bit misty still, but I think you can get the idea that it is pretty much an 01, as much polish as I can get on an 01. You can see a couple of misty streaks in it there, but it is pretty good. I'm going to do the specs on these knives because it came to my attention, well, I thought about it, but I never actually talk about the specs, sizes, weights and that kind of thing with my knives. So it's 01 tool steel, heat treated by myself, and going by the guidelines by the steel supplier, I've heat treated it and tempered it to 58 to 60. So it's holding edge really well. It's cutting great. I'm really happy with the heat treat. Size, the cutting edge itself from the ricasso to the tip, not including the length of the belly, just from this point here to this point here, is 3¼ inches, give or take a hair. So I'm calling it 3¼ inches. Overall length is 8 inches. It's 4mm stock that's been surface ground a bit, so it's probably coming out about 3¾ stock. It's got a mirror polish blade, mirror polish spine, toxic green and black kieranite, 5mm clear acrylic pins, 2mm clear acrylic liners. It's come out great. I'm really happy with it. Mirror polishing inside the finger guard here was, you can imagine, it was a little bit of a headache. The weight of it without a sheath, I've weighed it without a sheath, weight of it is 6.34 ounces, or a minute amount under 180 grams. So I'm really glad that I skeletonized the handle. It's helped a lot. Balance point is pretty much in the finger guard there, just very slightly off, but if I put my finger there it's going to go. So the balance point is just about here, which isn't too bad. It's pretty much in the centre of the knife, which I'm really happy about. It's got a Sebenza style snake knot lanyard with the Turk's head and my bead. I think I'm going to start doing all my lanyards like this. They're just a little bit lighter, a little bit neater, and they're not so chunky when you got it on a belt carry. Sharp, yes, it is really sharp. I said this about the last one, that it was the sharpest knife I made, but the last one wasn't a full height flat. Even though the blade was deeper, the full height flat on this is actually higher than the flat was in the last one, so it's actually leaner. And I don't know if you can see, but it's my first micro bevel. I hand sanded this, wet and dried it all the way to 2000, and when I went to go on the buffer I actually looked at it, and with all the hand sanding it'd gone down to 0 edge, and it was razor sharp at a 0, but I thought for maintenance purposes and resharpening in the future I'd just knock that edge of it off very slightly and put a micro bevel on it. So yeah, I mean, you can see it there, it is a tiny little bevel, but I've got some really thin paper. As you can see, it's like it's not even there. So I was thinking, you know, is there anything thinner that I've got to hand that's thinner than this paper? And being a smoker, I have a rolling paper. These are your typical green Rizla. So it's not as thin as the blues, not as thin as the silvers, but it is actually thinner than this paper by a substantial amount. So we'll see if I can do this on camera now. I did it earlier, I'll show you. There you go, a cut, not a slice, not a tear. There you go. It's just because this is so thin, and if it's not supported tight it tends to bend more than cut, not tear, it just tends to bend. But as long as you're really slow with the cutting itself, it does actually cut, which I'm really happy with. I didn't think I was going to get a blade that I could get this sharp, but it is ridiculously sharp and unsupported. Just holding with 2 fingers. You can see. Naughty sharp. Yeah, so really happy with that. What else is there? Sheath. Alright, I'll pop it in the sheath. I've actually got the sheath in belt carry and scout carry at the moment, so I'll drop the camera down and have a look. I've got it, like I say, in scout carry, really comfortable. Because it's not such a long knife and the blade's a lot shorter than the assailant, it does tend to sit, the end of the tang is pretty much level with your hip, so it's not hanging out. You got a bit of, I mean, this t-shirt's not too baggy, but if you've got a baggy t-shirt on, it could go unnoticed, which is really cool. Retention is great. I think on just, you know, every sheath I do now, it just tends to get better and better. So I'll pop this off and I'll show you. Let's come back up. I love this t-shirt, by the way. It's by a band called The Last Felony, a technical death metal band, but it is one of my favourite t-shirts by far. Right, so sheath, here we go. See if I can get some better light. Here we are. So the spine, because there's a very slight, well, not slight, but there's a dip the whole way over the blade. I was worried that if I cantered this blade up to have the majority of the spine of the blade end of the knife tight in this crease, then the handle was going to be coming out at too much of an angle. So when it's on your blade, it's going to be, when it's on your belt in scout carry, it was going to be too much down in that direction. So it took me a couple of attempts to get it in the right angle, but I am really happy with the way this came out. I've got Kydex holes every 3/4 of an inch, so it is set up for large tech lock or small tech lock. Like I say, I've got the large one on now, but you could have it in normal carry or in cross draw, whatever you wanted. But in regards to retention, you can see that it's just, I was so happy with this sheath. It is my best one by far. Nice click when it goes in. The rattle you can hear there is actually the tech lock rocking back and forward very slightly, but it's not coming out of there. It is in because of the way that I design well, I make my sheaths, it wraps under here and then it locks on to the index finger guard very slightly there. So it's really good retention, but pops off really well. I had this thing flying about all over the place, but yeah, it's not marked, it's great. So yeah, really happy with this blade. It's my favourite that I've made so far. I love the design. It's not a massive knife, you know, being 3 1/4 inch blade, but a nice big handle. I have shaped it quite heavily, so you've got a scalloped area here for your index finger, scalloped area here for your middle finger, and then it is thinned down here for the ring finger and the pinky. So they do sit in there really nicely. It's most comfortable holding in this position, with your thumb on the spine of the blade. You can get your finger right in the guard and hold it up like that in punch grip, but I've kind of designed the grip, you know, I take a bit off the scales, use it a bit more, take a bit off the scales, and I like, you know, this is the most utilitarian position to hold a knife for me. It's just there, you know, you're doing any cutting, like skinning style, your finger will sit in this groove here and just slightly wrap into the index hole, into the index finger hole, and your finger sits quite nicely on the blade. If you want to choke up, the way that I do my scales here, you got the round up here and then it dips in, so your finger sits on that quite nicely, and then you got your finger, your index finger right up near the tip of the blade, so you got a lot more control. But it's really hard to cut paper like that, but in my normal favourite position like this, it's just ridiculous. So yeah, that is the KDK Raider with a mirror polish and Kirinite scales. I am getting some cards made up with the details of the knife, so when they get sent out, they will have, you know, what scales it is, what date it was made, and the model and that kind of thing. So they will go out only with my bigger knives, hangnails. For the price that I'm knocking them out, I can't actually afford to start doing that with them, you know, with the electro etching on them and stuff like that. It's just, you know, I want to keep them cheap because I enjoy sending them out to people and giving people a little taster of my work. So the only way to keep people buying them, you know, I did say I wanted to take a break from them for a while, but I've had, you know, since starting up the Facebook page as well, which I have a link in the box below, since starting up the Facebook page, I've just had, you know, I put up the photos of the hangnails and I've just had so many requests for hangnails, and I can't keep turning people away. Well, I feel like I can't, because I just don't want to lose the work. I enjoyed making them and I did want to take a break from them and make some bigger knives, but yeah, you know, I feel like I should honour the request, really. So I've taken quite a few orders. I've got a few in the works. I've got to do a modified one for a fella Steve who wants one with a modified handle. He's already got one already, but he said, oh, could you do this to the handle to make it a bit more of a, you know, a different use? And I said, yeah, no worries. So I'm doing one for him. And Chuck, I know you said you wanted one, so we got one in the works for you and a couple of other people. So yours is coming. I've only got one large custom order at the moment that I'm in talks with the gentleman about. So fingers crossed that we'll sort out what he wants, and I can get cracking with that. After this one, I've got one more Raider that's being cut out and heat treated. I've just got to crack on, get the final grind on it, and start the mirror polish again, because it is a lot of work, and you know, I understand if people don't want to pay for the mirror polish, but I just love doing it. I love the finish that it gets. It's just such an achievement, and you know, Thomas Thorne will know what I'm talking about. It's just one of those things that you do, and and you're so glad you did it. It was a lot of hard work and it was a lot of time, but so glad you did it. So yeah, just one last thing on this knife I've got to show you, but for that I've got to turn the lights out, so I'll be back with you in a sec. So people, I'm back, and so this is what I wanted to show you. That is the, if you saw my last video about the radar update, that is the glow in the dark that I recessed into the clear acrylic liners. It's a glow in the dark powder that's mixed with epoxy and then, like I say, recessed into the liners, and that's just been charging for a few seconds, so it will get lighter, and it is down the other side of the blade, but I haven't charged that side yet, that side. Yeah, it's come out really cool, really happy with it. I think it's pretty cool, so let's put the light back on. So yeah, I was going to keep this being the prototype and the amount of work gone into it, but I feel like I should let it go. I don't know, really happy with it. It's nothing to do with that, it's just the fact that I was just, I showed my girlfriend, as you do, what I've been working on, and she said, another knife you're going to keep, and I said, yeah, I know. So I'm more than likely, well, I am going to put it up for sale. If anyone's interested, then send me a PM. I've got to work out, if I start selling these knives, if I make them and then start selling them rather than taking in orders, I've got to start working out prices for what they're going to be, because the amount of work that went into this knife is colossal. To get that polish and just the time spent on the kieranite to get it scratch free and everything like that, and the sheath and everything, it took a long time. So I'm not going to be charging the world for it, but it's the price I will sell it for will reflect the work for it. So if you want to PM me, if you're interested in anything, then shoot me a message and we'll discuss it then. But hope everyone's well. Hope everyone's had a good weekend. I just popped in for dinner and quickly had a look at YouTube and saw a video that Dell had made about Homeland Security in America knocking the edge off his knife when he sent it, the infected entrail, and that is just criminal. That really is. I could see, Dell, if you're watching, I could see in your face that you were pissed off, and that's completely understandable, mate. I feel for you, and I feel, I can sense your disappointment and that, but we all know, we've all seen your videos, and we all know that you don't send out dull blades. We know that you pride yourself on how sharp your knives are, so I'm sure I speak for many others, not just myself, but we know how sharp your knives are, and no one's doubting you for a second, mate. So yeah, apart from that, that is pretty much it. So I know it's been a long vid, and I appreciate everyone if you've stuck around to the end. So I hope you've had a great weekend, and I hope you have a good week to come. Take care. Bye bye.